Dude, I have nothing for this gambling assignment.
We should ask.
The answer. You've interrupted the answer at work.
Everybody popping on the dance floor.
The answer.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our podcast regarding gambling in Australia. Alongside me, I've got three specific men who have a deep knowledge of gambling, so I'd like to introduce them one by one. Dylan, hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Well, thank you. How do you feel towards this subject?
Oh, well, I'm a passionate gambler, but I believe it's always good to take good measures to stop yourself from getting addicted.
For sure, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And alongside Dylan, we've got Luke, how are you?
Could be better. Yeah.
Fantastic. And, and a lot like Dylan, how do you feel about this subject?
Look, I think it's affecting the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But myself, I'm not a kid, so I like to gamble. Yeah.
We'll touch on that later as how gambling companies get kids into gambling by television ads. And finally, we got Ben. Ben, how do you feel towards this subject?
I love the occasional gamble, but obviously it could be handled better by sporting organisations.
And the government.
For sure. We'll touch on gambling in Australia has become a major problem over recent years, with sports such as the Australian Football League and the Australian Rugby League adopting several gambling agencies as sponsors. It's everywhere these days, whether it be advertisements at the games, betting tips before the games by former players, or even betting sponsors for certain clubs in these leagues. It has been disputed that Australia has developed a gambling problem with a major rise in advertising, which in turn has provoked a spike in gambling amongst adults and teens, which we'll talk about today for sure.
Definitely.
We'll be looking at specifically at the involvement of gambling companies in the AFL and the NRL and their role on the Australian gambling culture. Gentlemen, where should we start?
I reckon we should have a look at the amount of teams that are actually involved with gambling companies across leagues such as the AFL and the NRL.
Well, for sure, as stated here, the AFL and the NRL have taken up sponsorships with companies such as BetEasy and Sportsbet, respectively. Alongside themselves are clubs and stadiums such as the Brisbane Lions, who, as you will well know, their jersey has got Neds up there, who are a major gambling company, who are based out of Darwin, I believe.
Yep.
And then we look at the Brisbane Broncos, who are sponsored by Ladbrokes, once again another big gambling firm in Australia, who are actually based in the UK. And then the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, sponsored by PointsBet, who we have a very particular love for their certain TV ads. And then, of course, Optus Stadium in Perth, sponsored by the Tabs WA subsidiary of Tab Touch. We had a look at that. There's a big outlet there that probably suck an awful lot of people into having a gamble before a game.
Having a pint and a gamble.
Absolutely.
Open during all hours of the game, so...
It is too. I also read that it might be open during every day of the week, so that could be a dangerous in terms of people who may work in the local area of Perth that could just go across and... It's a bit of a stress relief in a way, but we'll come back to it. But organisations like the AFL have a large platform with massive audience, therefore have the opportunity to expose their gambling sponsors through mediums such as television, radio, newspaper and social media.
Sporting organisations sort of contradict themselves. Like they banned Stevenson recently for gambling, yet they go and sponsor gambling, like the AFL go and sponsor gambling organisations. I think it's a bit of a contradiction, which they should probably get rid of.
It's important you say that as well, because the AFL has had a history with gambling, as you well know. It was sort of uncovered this year that Dane Beams, who plays at Collingwood, had a gambling debt.
Allegedly
had a gambling
We'll
debt.
say allegedly.
Might have been proven. And it was believed that Eddie Maguire had paid it off. Now, that sort of stuff that happens away from the game, but it still comes to light, would ring alarm bells for the normal person.
Well, yeah, you see if it's happening to our stars in the spotlight, like what's it doing behind closed doors to friends and family that we might not know about. So
absolutely.
It's going to be a pretty prevalent problem, I'd assume.
Absolutely, for sure.
No doubt.
Definitely.
Well, we've all had bad days on the punt, but let's just have a look at how it affects children and teenagers, particularly these days. We found some damning reports and damning facts about those particular things.
So just some statistics about it. So 74% of Victorians think adolescents are exposed to too much gambling. And some children gamble normally very young, some as young as 10 years old, and most children have gambled by the age of 15.
Just on that fact.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Just quickly, it is disappointing to have to say this, but I actually know people who are under the age of 18, which is the legal age of gambling, and they've openly admitted to me that they use either a tab or Sportsbet, and it is concerning because a lot of teenagers, even adults before 18, actually do gamble, and they use someone else's name or someone else's account details, and their parents don't know.
It's actually quite easy.
It is very easy.
Just get their license, put their number in. It can be back checked. Say, oh, this is this person's identity. You can use their identity.
But in extremely rare circumstances, they could lose an awful lot of money in one day.
Yeah.
And their parents would have no idea, because a lot of people like to keep what they do behind their back very, very quiet. So that is a very damning report.
But then again, it's not always the children's fault. I mean, they're obviously impacted by the ads that are shown on TV. They might be impacted by their parents, who also might be looking at these ads, just getting more
Well, for sure, it would come across as a very young age as well, that you'd probably grow up doing a Melbourne Cup sweep and you'd pick the one horse a year. I'm not going to lie, I did it when I was 6.
Yeah,
It starts very innocently.
I did it when I was 6. I
I
said,
was the same.
Mum, couple of bucks on that.
Labelled as a bit of fun back then, but as you grow older...
And now as you get older, it just becomes normal.
You think it's a viable way of making money where obviously there's a lot more risk to it than
Absolutely.
first thought.
And it's a proper addiction, and especially in kids, it can be easier for them to become addicted at a young age, which might just carry through, starting from something innocent to becoming an actual problem in their life.
Even in video games where you have in-game purchases and you can purchase, say, packs to get players you want in a certain game, you keep buying these packs with real money until you can get that player. It's addicting.
Yeah.
It's a similar way to gambling.
Like it or not, people say that they don't gamble, but when you touch on that, it is a gamble in a way. Life is a gamble when you think about it.
Say that.
Second nature.
Absolutely. That's a very damning fact there. And we've got plenty more here. An 8-year-old watching AFL footy today will never have seen a game without gambling ads, says lead researcher Samantha Thomas.
As you get that, you get an ad at the start of the game, you'll get them leading up to the game through the week. You get one at quarter time, half time, 3/4 time, and at the end of the game, you get them for the next game. So it's every minute.
You'll know the odds
Yeah.
no matter what time of the game it is.
It is very funny. You even see it in local football at times as well. I remember there was markets back a couple of years ago where you could bet on local league grand finals, and that was scrapped because people just didn't want it, and yet people would use it, which is damning.
And not just with sports gambling, you see a lot of lotto results getting shown on the news, just on TV generally, which kids are obviously exposed to, which is also feeding the gambling that they're being shown. Yeah, feeding the gambling culture that's been shown to them at a very young age, which also adds to it.
For sure, yeah, you see it when you're just even watching a TV show on a Tuesday night when they draw the lotto results.
Yeah.
They pop down to the bottom right hand corner of the Channel 7 screen. It gives you those numbers, and if your parents have something on it, excuse me again, I'm keep burping here. They know automatically that I've got to check my ticket. And the kids are like, "Oh, Mum, what's that for?" Or "Dad, what's that for?" It is something that is particularly
Yeah, something
dangerous
that's
these days.
seen so innocently, but parents just quickly get a lotto ticket from the newsagent, and then all of a sudden the kid says, "Oh, what's this going on here?" It's like, "Oh, I got the ticket." Even like, I remember I was 14, 15, one of the biggest lotto draws in however many years, and then Mum's like, "Oh, do you want to put some numbers in?" And just as innocent of that, it can just grow from there.
Yeah, and scratchies as well. You know, sometimes mum or dad might get a scratchy, and they'll be like, "Oh, do you want to scratch it out?" And that's just feeding.
That's giving the children.
It's giving the children the satisfaction,
thrill.
the thrill, the satisfaction of gambling,
For sure.
essentially.
Although they might not consider it as gambling at such a young age, but
But
that's what
the
it
satisfaction of almost winning something,
is.
or
And needing to do it again.
yeah, exactly.
We also have seen with the increase in technology, sort of smartphones being able to access betting apps, sort of ads through Facebook, Instagram, all that, Twitter. It's just so accessible to everybody. Like we said before, kids under the age of 18 are being able to use their phones to just put on easy bets.
So a damning fact, we found out that Australians spend nearly $20 billion each year on that, just on poker machines, fellas. $20 billion
Just
a year.
poker machines.
And it's
Just on poker machines.
So it's definitely a clear rise from 10 or so years ago.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then you tie into what people could be spending on gambling apps for horse racing or sports betting as well. It could be $35 billion, boys.
No doubt.
Now, just thinking about that, how should the government get involved? We've already seen, for me, because I'm down in Geelong an awful lot, they've banned gambling advertising at GMHBA Stadium, and you see responsible gambling ads come across on the fences around the ground. But do you think there's more that the government should do here, fellas?
Well, I mean, they've tried. They put in a gambling restriction for live broadcasting of sporting games for
Ad
5
restriction.
a.m. till 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
But it's still not enough. They can still, by the time it's half time, it's probably past 8:30, so they can broadcast gambling ads again, and it's still getting to the kids, it's still getting to the teenagers, and it's not enough to stop it.
It's also very interesting as well because companies change their slogans a lot at the moment, and you might have seen recently with Tab, they've changed their slogan to "Long May We Play." Hopefully we don't get copyrighted for that. And that ad has been absolutely drilled into our minds. It's been on Foxtel, it's been on free to air, and I reckon I saw it about 5 or 6 times in a 3-hour period a couple of nights ago. So either it's a money grab for more accounts to be opened and created, or it's what is it? We
And
don't
touching
know.
on that new slogan, we found a statistic also that says on average there was 7.6 attention strategies found per advertisement. The most prevalent attention strategies were voiceovers, music, and witty slogans. So as you're saying, that new slogan's been drilled into your mind. You're going to be drawn to open another account, put another bet.
Well, it's
whatever you
also
want.
like sports bet as well.
Sportsbet has all 3 of those.
They
have that. They have the voiceover from a guy who's a very
Build the mountain.
He has
Yeah.
a very
Climb the
recognisable.
mountain.
He has a very recognisable voice.
You've-
They have a great witty slogan, and they have music in the background,
Yep.
and that really that's a very
Or
enticing.
you use celebrities in
Yeah.
points bet circumstance.
Yeah.
They've got NBA All-Star Allen Iverson.
The answer.
Bill Brownless.
Yeah, Billy Brownless as well.
Tab's got Shane Crawford.
Yeah.
Sportsbet's got
Nathan
Nathan Brown.
Brown.
Yeah, they're
Sorry.
everywhere.
We've come to the conclusion that the Australian government does need to do more in itself. Whether that could be a ban, I don't think a ban on gambling would do particularly well in this country, considering those facts that people spend up towards $20 billion a year on gambling. But something does have to change.
So overall, what we think sporting organisations and broadcasters should do to improve upon, or like to limit gambling, specifically amongst children and teens, is...
Well, so we're brainstorming ideas of what the government could improve on. I was thinking of implementing maybe a PG rating for sports broadcasters who intend to show gambling odds. Parental guidance recommended. That way, kind of restricts what they can show if they want to show it at all.
It's an adult theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think of it, it's an adult theme because
It is, you have to be 18
Yeah,
over
exactly.
to gamble in the first place.
But the problem with that is another study from 2016 showed that 75% of 8 to 16-year-olds thought gambling was a normal or common part of sport. So that's a clear problem that we have to build from and make sure those kids just don't grow up thinking that you have to gamble to be involved in sport.
there's got to be more awareness as well.
That's why I think a PG rating is appropriate, and the parents can guide them into this is actually not a normal part of sport. This is just a pastime, leisurely pastime that shouldn't be done every so often.
And that's a wrap.